I use Piano Pronto. Love Jennifer Eklund. Don't know what I'd do without her either, and her whole composers community, because my kids love her songs. But we do scales when they show up in the book. She has a lot of, we don't sit down and start. This is where my piano teacher would be like, Julie, please, you can't do that. We do the scales, key signatures, and things like that when they show up in the book. I mean, we do theory, and when it's in the book, that's what we do, because I have found that the students that I teach are involved in so many other activities, to send home, 2 hours of theory homework like I used to have, it's just not going to happen.
Hi everyone, it's Tim Topham here, and you're listening to the Topcast. I'm so delighted that you've decided to tune in today because we've got a super fun episode with one of our top music marketplace sellers who you're going to meet in just a moment. And we're going to be unpacking how she so successfully fits everything into 30 minutes. As you know, I really enjoy spending a lot of time on creativity and improvising and lots of those kind of fun activities, as well as the technique and repertoire, but it's incredibly difficult to fit all that in. Julie has a method, and we're going to take you through that approach today. Now, I also want to mention that you're going to hear from Julie about a number of her fantastic games that she uses in her studio, and they are available on the Top Music Marketplace. If you search for Julie Duda, that's Julie and Duda spelled D-U-D-A, you'll be able to find all her games, including things like the Darko Tuesday game, which we mentioned a few times during this. And Julie has generously also shared a free download page for other teachers running online recitals. So for those of us in Australia, that's likely to be coming up in the next month or two that you'll be planning those, probably for this year, if you haven't gone back to in-person lessons. And what she's created is a scavenger hunt for students to do that you can have them complete as the event is being held online. Really, really cool. You can grab that at our show notes page, where you can also get a transcript and all the links to the things we're talking about. And that's at topmusic.co/episode 211. And also, just a final reminder too before we get into today's interview, and that's Julie is actually going to be discounting her products on the marketplace for the next 5 days. So if you did want to try out any of her fantastically fun and slightly wacky games, then go over to topmusicmarketplace.com and search for Julie Duda. You'll be able to see her discounted range there. So let me tell you about Julie. She's a piano studio owner and creator of innovative resources and games for music teachers. Pittsburgh Studio is well known for personalised, organised and creative piano instruction. Her studio and innovative teaching practices have been highlighted on Wendy Stevens' blog, Upbeat Piano Teachers and Tonara Studio. And her studio website features over 60 digital resources for music teachers, with the best available now on the Top Music Marketplace. Welcome to the show, Julie Duda. So cool to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and appreciate the invitation to talk about what I do in my studio with your listeners.
I know people are going to absolutely love it. And I did want to just mention that you gave me some instruction about how to pronounce your last name by singing Camptown Races. What a better way to do that? Duda.
Yeah, Duda.
I love it. So you're based in Bethel Park, Pittsburgh, and teaching around 50 students a week, one-on-one.
Yes.
And having huge success. Even at the height of the pandemic and the move to online lessons, you've just been killing it. So let's just backpedal a little bit, and then we'll come more to some of those strategies around 30-minute lessons, which I really want to dig into today. Going back, you started teaching around 1984, but you're in the classroom first. So tell us how you moved from classroom to instrumental teaching and how things have grown over time.
Well, I did that all at the same time. And of course, I was 12 when I started doing that.
Okay.
Just kidding. I was hired out of college and into a school, and I was in charge of the elementary, middle school music and the band program. And I walked into a situation where there really wasn't a lot of curriculum. I was a brand new teacher. And I think part of my creativity and making things for my students came from the fact that I had to at that point. I had to come up with things. But all the time that I was in the classroom and in the band room, I was always teaching piano lessons. I was always teaching at lunchtime, before school, after school. So I was, working at piano teaching at that time. And what I didn't know was at that time, I was building my current studio. Mm-hmm. I really was, because I have about 8 or 10 students in my studio right now that I taught their parents back then.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I was doing that. And I did that. My own children, they're now 22 and 26, but you can do it all. You just can't do it all at the same time. And so I was teaching in the classroom at the same school. My kids were there. Some people homeschool. We went to school together. And when my youngest graduated, I decided it was time to come home and start my own studio, which is something I'd always wanted to do.
So how long ago was that?
That was in 2012.
Okay.
When I completely left the classroom teaching in the band room. And yeah.
Was that a sad or exciting moment for you? Or a bit of both?
It was very exciting for me. It was, like I said, my oldest was we were starting to look at 8 years straight of college when I left my teaching job to start my own studio. I mean, there was a lot of factors involved. Music was so important to me. And, I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. And I wasn't starting completely from zero because I was teaching lessons in the school at lunchtime before school. So some of the students came with me, but it was a jump.
Yeah. Were there elements of the school system? Because I'm interested because I've been in the same situation where I've been a classroom teacher. I've been an instrumental teacher in a school as well. And I stopped all that at the end of 2016, I think, it was to go full-time into top music. And so I'm wondering whether there are elements of the school system that you miss, or teaching classrooms and things like that, or you're actually not really, you've moved on.
I've moved on. Yeah, it was time to move on. One too many, we need your room for something else. You can travel with a cart. And the band room was down in the basement. Yeah. So it was time to move on and create the environment and the teaching that I wanted to do.
And you've done an extraordinary job of that, which we're going to find out more about shortly.
Amazing.
So tell us, what does your studio look like today? And also, actually, let's look a bit bigger. What does your business look like today? Because you do more than just teaching.
Well, that's a brand new thing for me. And I know a lot of people, and I know that you asked this in the questions that you were talking about with me, is, a lot of teachers, when they get to the point, because I'm at a point with 50 students where I really can't. I have a huge waiting list. I just can't accommodate any more in my schedule unless you want to take lessons between 9 and 11 at night. I'm pretty much booked with the time that kids take lessons. And so I know there's a cap there. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I deal with that cap? And of course, I watched all the top music webinars on group lessons and things like that. Honestly, I did. And I thought, I spent so much of my career teaching in groups, teaching large groups of kids when my own kids were in those groups. And I think I just wanted to back off and do just the one-on-one. There's a lot to be said for that for me after doing the group. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I up level? And I decided that, I have so many ideas, so many games that I've made for my own students. I'm the kind of person that if I see a need, like I have a student who needs to practice more, I'll go on the computer and on Canva, I'll make a sticker, and then we'll use that in the lessons. So at the end of the day, this summer, I said, okay, I have over 60 teacher resources that I've created. So maybe it's time to focus on my one-on-one studio, but then to reach out and share some of the expertise that I've had with other teachers.
And I think it's worth mentioning our mutual friend, Sarah Campbell, who we all know is fabulous and we love on the podcast, and she's one of our expert teachers. Tell us how she's been able to help you as well in this transition. And also, for that matter, Jana Carlson, who's also one of our older Top Music Pro members as well.
Yes, most definitely. Well, Sarah and I actually live pretty close in the state. We both live in Pennsylvania. She lives in the north. I live in the south. And I met her through the Upbeat Piano Teachers webinars. And I just kind of Googled and I said, I really need help, because at that point I had 62 students and was charging $17 a lesson, collecting money every week, doing everything by hand. And I didn't have the business savvy skills. That's the part I was really lacking, was I knew how to teach music, but I did not have the business skills. And she was just, oh my goodness, she has spoken so much into my life. we started off with, I have my music staff. I have Tonara. I have, all those things now. And she helped me set up my studio. And one year I raised my rates like 36%. Nobody said boo.
Yes. I mean, $17 a lesson and teaching 60 kids and doing everything manually. I mean, it must have been an absolute nightmare for you. And you mustn't have had any time.
Yeah. I mean, my kids we kind of had the empty nest, but you have to, I could not highly recommend Sarah's Savvy Music Studio and her new website.
How good is her new website?
Check it out. Oh my gosh. Really everybody has to check that out. But she just led me. She has such a way. She led me step by step how to do this. I did her branding workshops. And then this summer, Jana and Jeremy Carlson from Studio Rocket built my my new website with my store. And they were quite shocked. Jana, sent me an email. She said, we were expecting maybe 10 teaching resources. And I had like 60. So we did a quick switch around. And now my new website has 3 different stores within the store, has 3 different doors. So they just did a marvelous job.
And you've done a remarkable job in creating these resources, which have very quickly become favorites on the Top Music Marketplace and in members of my team as well who are using some of your products like the Taco Tuesday. And you've just shown me this new one behind you that people can't see if they're listening, but it's very cool. It's this big, what's it called, this one behind you?
It's called the Flying Musical
Ninja Game. So you've got this funny little ninja that you like throw at the page and it kind of sticks for a bit and then it walks its way down and they've got to do what it says as it goes down the page. It's just so clever. Anyway, we'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to get into your strategy for 30-minute lessons because I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
And say that I've always found it incredibly difficult to fit everything into 30-minute lessons, which is why I only teach 45 minutes to an hour. And I encourage other teachers quite often to do the same thing because I want to do the composing and the improvising and play some pop music, but they've also got to do their repertoire and technique. And my goodness, it's so difficult. But you are doing it successfully and you're keeping it creative and you're adding games. So can you share this 3 kind of step strategy with us? Take us through it.
Okay.
I believe preparation might be the key to the first step.
Yes.
Is that right?
Preparation is the key. My students know that they need to come prepared, and they do. Okay. What's fun about my studio is I do have all these games and they never know what they're going to find. Okay. So when they walk in every week, you never know what, and I typically have one game for the whole week and I have it like the ninja games in many different levels. So it's the classroom teacher and me that kind of plans and the lesson plans and things like that. But they know to come if they want to play the games and they want to do, and I have a Yamaha CSP Smart piano, which is super cool because they can play their songs on it with a full orchestra, with the background, any instrument they want. So they know that if they don't know their songs, we're going to sit there and pound out the songs and the scales and things like that. So they come prepared. That's the biggest thing. They come prepared. We have all the materials ready. I know what they're going to do when they walk in, and they're always on time.
Right. Okay. Which means you also run to time. You don't go overtime. You're obviously quite careful. And this comes back to your classroom teaching, I imagine, because...
Oh, yeah. The bells ring, you go.
The bells ring. That's time up. Did you say that you will choose one game or try to choose one game that has multiple different levels that you can use with all your students? So you're not... Right. You can plan for a week in that way.
Exactly.
Do the same, and that's really intelligent, really clever. As long as you've got the games that are multi-leveled.
I do, and now that I'm making a lot of my own games, I make them multi-level. I make a game. When I make a game, like I think on the Top Music, I have a game called Time for Cats. We have a cute little hand with cats where they do finger numbers. We have cats on the keyboard. We have bass clef notes, treble clef notes. We have all the musical rhythms, and I use what's called. If you purchase that game, you get the YouTube link for what's called the 1-minute cat timer. So this game takes 1 minute. And I have some pictures, some videos of my kids doing it on my Facebook and Instagram. But it takes 1 minute and they see the cats running towards them and there's music playing. I think it's It's from Carmen the opera. There's music playing, so the music's anticipating, and they're seeing how many of these notes they can name in the minute.
Yeah.
So the game takes a minute. And they love it. It's so exciting. But my other thing I do is I use sticky notes.
Okay, so this is step 2, right?
Step 2. Here,
Sticky
you can't see
things.
this if you're listening. This is my sticky things folder.
Okay, so we're holding up looks like a suspension file kind of folder, which you'd put in a filing cabinet.
Yeah, and so what I do is I have tons of stickers. Okay, I have everything from no speeding, follow the dynamics, follow the fingering, read the notes carefully. I have Post-it notes that block off, they block off parts of the song that we're not going to do that week. Like, instead of telling a kid, you're really not up to playing the second page, let's do the first page. I have these stickers that say, save this part for dessert. Just like dessert. We're going to save this part for later. Because I make my own Post-it notes too. That's another thing I do. I make custom-made Post-it notes.
Okay, Julie, we've got to slow down here. So wait, the stickers, firstly, how do you, if you're going to cover some music, how do you then remove them? Do you buy some special removable?
They're Post-it notes.
Oh, they're just Post-it notes. Okay, so can you can get printable Post-it notes for a printer?
Yes, I run these through my printer. They're just normal Post-it notes from Office Depot.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. There you go.
Well, you know what? On the marketplace, I have these Post-it notes and I give instructions on how to do it.
Fantastic. There we go. topmusicmarketplace.com. And the great thing is, for Top Music members, you get Office Depot and Office Max discounts. So here's a win-win if ever I've seen one. So you've got these available that people can buy and actually print them out themselves. So you can create your own sticker bundle, and you just go to Office Depot and grab instead of grabbing paper, you grab the sticky label things.
Avery sticker, 30 address labels, 60 address labels. You bring them home, you put them upside down in your copier, they print.
Wonderful. And they are removable, because that's the important thing.
Yeah. I personally, there's a website where I buy the ones that are removable. Now, the Post-it notes are all removable, but it was fun over the quarantine time when we were on Zoom to see the kids reproduce my stickers.
Right. Well, I was going to ask how this works in online lessons. So tell us about that.
Well, when we immediately switched to the online lessons, and those were 30 minutes as well, and they knew they needed to be in that waiting room in Zoom, the Zoom waiting room before they,
before their time,
ready to roll. And what I did is I used signs. I had a lot of signs that I would hold up to them. And some of those signs, I think I have those on my marketplace. If not, they're on my website. And so they would take what was on the sign and then write it in their music.
Right. Okay. But what about the sticky notes and things like that? Did you post people a bundle of things that they could use? Was there an alternate way to do that?
Yeah, well, I could send them by email.
Okay.
I mean, I could send them to email and the parents, but honestly, I tried to make things very easy for parents. They're still overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's hard enough.
Yes, absolutely.
But, it's just a matter of, instead of taking a lot of time to write on the music, you just put the sticky note on there, then they remember to follow the fingering or, things like that.
Can you hold up your lesson folder again? And we might put the video for this in our member area for our Top Music Pro members. What are some of the other tabs that you've got across the top there?
Well, I have do not slow down, keep the music moving, start your practice here this week, because, they all want to start at the beginning.
Yeah. Yes, I've taken to putting whole blocks of paper or just removing page 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start your practice here this week. Yeah. Stop, do not enter, follow the articulations. And this one has pictures of slurs, staccatos, and accents on it.
Yeah. So they're more about, these stickers are more about instructional, whereas a lot of teachers, myself included, when I hear about teachers using stickers, I would imagine they're for rewards.
No.
So do you use them for rewards at all?
I have, oh my goodness, we have reward stickers too, but this is the best one. They're tally mark how many times they practiced the song this week.
Okay, where do they put that?
I put it at the top of their music and they tally mark how many times they practice that song.
And they could just put a new one over the top for the next week, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or we can pull it off.
So do you use assignment books or lesson diaries as well to keep track of what the student needs to do, or do you do it all on the page?
No, I use Tonara.
Okay, all right.
We all have a Tonara account, and I would have been completely lost if I had not set up Tonara last fall, especially with the online lessons, because you can't write in a notebook. And so I do use Tonara.
Great. And do you tend to type things as you go that they'll then see in their login?
Yeah.
Or do you do it after the lesson? Or because I mean, you mustn't have much time to spend on each student's account afterwards or before the lesson, right?
No, I do it as during the lesson. I have an iPad Pro, and just like I would write in a notebook, I write their assignments and
that comes up.
Yeah, we just do it.
Yeah. I mean, you are incredibly efficient, which I think is really,
we
really
are very
important.
Efficient.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of skipped from number 1 to number 2. So step 1 in making 30-minute lessons really work is preparation. And not just your preparation as a teacher, but making sure the students are prepared and they know what's going to happen. So my question for you, Julie, is do your students have, or when you first started doing this, did you give them a kind of a checklist? Or let's say for a new student, do you give them a checklist of, okay, here's how I run my lessons, here's what to expect, here's what you need to do? How did they learn that?
I tell them. I mean, we just, a lot of it's learning as we go. There's no lag time. But it's fun. I mean, and my students, they play excellent. They really do.
Yeah.
They know the drill. And right now, most of my new students coming in right now are siblings of older students. Like this year, I think that's pretty much my,
Which is good because you've got the relationship with the family already.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They know, yeah.
Yeah. It works very well.
And is there so they understand what they need to do, what is going to happen during the lesson? They might not know the game that you're going to play, but they know that probably going to start with one, work through the music. They're going to get lots of stickers. At the end of the lesson, is there an end of lesson format or process as well?
Well, now it's a little different because, I mean, we always were very much into the hand washing and the cleaning and things like that. But what I can do now is some of the games that I've made some special games, and like even the taco game that we put the tacos together.
This is Taco Tuesday. Really fun.
This is Taco Tuesday. It's really fun. And because that's a big thing. I don't know. Is that a big thing in Australia, Taco Tuesday?
No, I'd never heard of it before.
Oh my goodness. That is a huge thing over here. Kids come in, it's Taco Tuesday. Everybody eats tacos around here on Tuesday night.
Right. No, that's not a thing.
But it's just a taco and they have to put it together. They have to match it.
So for those listening, she's got 2 cards in her hand. One, there's a taco in the background, which is split half on one, half on the other. And there's like a quarter note rest, and then how many beats that would be. And they've got to match the 2 together. And they're all on the floor or something, are they?
I put them, I have of course we have a special basket that holds tacos.
Right.
So we have these, so they're all mixed up. And so, they can either come over to my game table or go on the floor, and they're putting that together while I'm cleaning for the next person. We just, we have a system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they all know what that system is. And it's been a very successful for me and for my students. I will preface this by saying I don't do the exams. We don't do the competitions and things like that. And part of it's having the ideal students, having the students that fit my studio. If I had a student coming in who wanted to, they wanted to do all those exams and do things like that, that's not who I am. I am the teacher who, we want to play music. We want to make music excellent. We want all the things, all the wonderful value there is for children to know music. I have sent older students that maybe wanted to pursue music. I've said, I have a friend across town who does more of that. I'm very quick to know the kind of student that I can teach. And I'm not afraid to say, okay, this is what you need now. I'm not afraid to do that.
And I think that grows over time. When you're just starting out, and we've had some questions in our forums recently from teachers just beginning, you kind of take everyone that you can get because you need students, and you'll have 7-year-olds and 70-year-olds and advanced and not so advanced, and you learn over time who your ideal student is, and you have totally found your passion, your niche, your ideal student, as have I, and I think that does develop over time, and we should, I think, as teachers, aim for that to be our goal, to have a studio full of our favourite students. The students that really give us energy and that we can best serve. I think that's such an important place to get to, and it's such a fun way to be as a teacher as well.
And when you get to that point, it's great.
It really is.
I've not been at that point before, and it's hard.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Yeah, I've taken on I've got a funny story where I tried to take on, I thought I knew jazz. I took some jazz lessons as a 14, 15-year-old. And when I started teaching, I took on a jazz student. And as soon as I had that first lesson, I was totally out of my depth. He knew far more than me. So that was funny. Yeah. And also a more advanced piano student. I hadn't done my diploma performance at that time. And I was just totally out of my depth. It was kind of embarrassing, but you know what? You learn these things as you go, right? I found my niche eventually.
My piano teacher, who I taught, I took from a very, very strict hour-long exams, Beethoven sonatas, teacher. She's probably looking down on me going, what are you doing? Because that's how I was trained, and I'm not her.
My teacher, many of you will have heard me talk about Miss Mac. She would love you, Julie. She was all about stickers and praise and helping you learn the music you wanted to do and games and stuff. So I've been brought up very much for this to be in alignment with my own teaching. Okay, so we've got the first one, preparation and systems. I think that was really step one. Step two, saving time with sticky things. So you've got your organized folder of stickers, so you don't have to go and write things on scores. It's just like, bang, pop this on.
That's what you do, yeah.
On the music, yeah. And you've also got the custom created Post-it notes, which we talked about, which you can find out more about on the marketplace, Top Music Marketplace as well. And we mentioned how you can still do some of these things with online lessons too, because I know a lot of teachers are still doing that, particularly here in Australia. So anything else for step two, saving time, either with sticky things or not sticky things?
Yeah, just, you just got to keep it moving. And we do what's important. And like I said, there's a whole different, I use Piano Pronto, love Jennifer Eklund, don't know what I'd do without her either, and her whole composers community, because my kids love her songs. But we do scales when they show up in the book. She has a lot of, we don't sit down and start, this is where my piano teacher would be like, Julie, please, you can't do that. We do the scales, key signatures, and things like that when they show up in the book. I mean, we do theory, and when it's in the book, that's what we do, because I have found that the students that I teach are involved in so many other activities, to send home, 2 hours of theory homework like I used to have, it's just not going to happen.
Okay. And this is the third step. This is your formula for successful lessons.
Right.
Yes, you need to keep on moving. And I assume, though, while you would keep moving, if a student is struggling with something, you would work on that. But you would probably throw in some activity. You'd probably have in the back of your head, this game is going to really help with that, or this iPad app. Would that be right?
I use a lot of apps. I use a lot of iPad apps. I use a lot of the, the little Waco erasers and things like that.
Sorry, what's a Waco eraser? What's that?
The little erasers. Every piano teacher has these. The little erasers.
I'm not familiar with those. Isn't that funny?
No way.
How do you spell it?
Iwako.
Waco.
Erasers.
Okay.
I have a box of these. Sarah Campbell will be disappointed.
Sorry, Sarah. Don't hold it against me. It looks like a Teletubby or something.
Well, they come in all different animals. I have a box of them.
Right.
And all the piano teachers use these.
I have seen them lined up on piano keys and things like that. But what do you do?
Well, I use them a lot for, okay, this song's in C position. Get 5 of these and line them up in C position so they can actually visually see where C position is. Sometimes I take a picture of it and I'll send it to their mom or dad or send it over to Tonara. So when they get home, they know where C position is.
Nice.
They remember that. And now we have these little trash cans. These are little.
Okay, so now you're holding up a little mini wheelie bin. We would call them a wheelie bin over here, but like
a wheelie bin.
A wheelie bin, yeah, the ones that the machines come and pick up on the curb,
yeah,
right?
That's what they are. Right. So now because I have a whole box of these. I have lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Once we use these, then now we put them in here and then they get cleaned that night. That's how we know. So everything stays. I'm very fortunate to have several families in my studios who are in the medical field. And they were very gracious to help me when I opened my studio this fall. And they were very, very gracious and took time with me to show me exactly. We have the medical air purifier. We have a lot of things that we're doing to keep it safe here. And they were very gracious to spend some time with me and come in and work through that. But one of the things is if a child uses something, then, we don't have another child use it until we're able to clean it off. But they love these. I have these all over my studio and anything that you use and things like that. But that is something, I don't know what I would do if I had 45 minutes for a lesson.
You would just have a whole lot more fun, I think.
I think I would. But I am all about excellence too. It has to be excellent. It has to be excellent and it has to be fun.
What about students that are advancing? I mean, I would really struggle to work with a late intermediate, early advanced level student in 30 minutes.
I'll be honest, the majority of my students are in the middle, upper elementary. And I'm not saying this may change. I mean, I'm not saying all of my lessons, they're all 30 minutes right now. I have done 45-minute lessons for a student who's more advancing. I have done that. I don't want to say I don't do that. Right now, I don't. But I had a high school boy who we needed more time. So I'm not opposed to doing that. But the high school kids that I have right now, they're more of a recreational and they love coming for their half hour. They wouldn't have time to do anything else.
Well, that's another challenge for parents and students, particularly as they get older, is the amount of time they have available too. So
exactly.
That can be another reason why 30 minutes, if you can make it work, can be really useful.
Right.
Just on the cleaning thing, I know a lot of teachers are asking questions about that. So you mentioned an air purifier. Were there any other cleaning things on a regular basis? How do you go about, for example, cleaning all those little erasers?
We have to understand, I have a lot of things in my studio, so we don't run out. I have special sanitizer. Actually, it was recommended to me by some of my parents that I, have talked with.
So is it a wipe or a spray?
No. It's in a big jug. They use it in the food industry. You get but yeah, we're very clean. I've been open for 4 weeks this summer and 2 weeks here, so we've been open for 6 weeks. And
and you're feeling comfortable with it?
We're very comfortable. We wear masks. We wash our hands. Are
you personally doing the shield thing, which I've seen other studios do?
I'm not doing that. What I'm using is I have these laser pointers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do, yeah.
I have laser pointers. So we're doing a lot of social distancing. So I, if I want to point to their music, I point with my laser. They love it. They're the ones they use for cats. I don't know.
I was just thinking of my cat. Yeah. Yep. Loves a laser pointer.
That's what they are. But the kids, I have green, red, and blue. Now they want me to get purple, but so we do a lot of, I'm not right over top of them. And I'm very particular about the fact that, the parents, we are guarding our health and watching, I did not willy-nilly open my studio.
No, it doesn't. It sounds like you've really thought through it. Yeah.
I have a paper towel dispenser in the bathroom we use and,
changing gears a little bit, Emily, our producer and our on our team, and who's a good friend of yours, mentioned your love of sports, or the sports that the students love, and how you make some connections with sport as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, I have to love sports because I have two boys and they both played sports. And my younger son, in fact, actually played in college, a D3 level basketball. So I'm aware of the time constraints, the schedules, the love of sports. The sports does so much for the kids too. So rather than, I have a friend who teaches music who just makes it clear to everybody that she hates sports. And all it does is infringe on her musical schedules. But I have learned to embrace it. I have, in fact, on my marketplace, I have a hockey game. It's called Music Symbols on Ice. And we have a basketball game. I do big thing with March Madness with the games. In fact, and in football, I have tennis tunes, which is tennis balls on the music thing. So I incorporate the kids' love of sports. One of my sons, they both love golf, and my younger son purchased a mini, one of those putting greens. And I'd go downstairs. I looked at that. I'm like, oh, Josh, can I borrow this? And now we have a musical mini golf game. Whereas I made the music symbols on a golf course. Okay, and the more that you name correctly, then the closer you get to putt.
Okay, clever.
So you're naming all the music symbols, and the more you get right, then at the end you get to see how many, like I have 3 or 4 balls, like mini golf, you get to see how many you can get in, the more music symbols you get right. So they know I love the sports. They also know that I understand the schedules. I understand that every time, the season change, your schedule may change, but that doesn't fly. If they have to miss because of a game, I do a video lesson for them.
Okay. So it's about being realistic and understanding the constraints that parents have, and then making connections with sports by incorporating them into games that you create.
Right. And there's times I had 2 little girls that were on the same basketball team last year. I'd go see one of their games, and I know not all teachers have time to do that, but they know because of the fact that my kids played sports, they know that I don't hate it. And there's also an article, I think it was done by Alfred Music, an article on music and sports. And I know 2 of my students who really like sports, that was their reading assignment this week. They had to read it for me to find out, it improves and eye-hand coordination. I said, yeah.
There's plenty of connections you can make and good things that come out of sport. So I hope that there aren't many teachers around that are like the teacher you mentioned. Just because I honestly, I don't think there's any good that really comes from that. I think you're going to your students' games is a really magical kind of thing to do, as you say, if you can afford to do it, because it just shows that you're not against it. You're supportive of the child's areas, abilities in all areas, and I think that's a really important thing to do if you can. I think that's great.
And I'm really going to have to do it this year because my youngest graduated from college in the basement last year. In the spring, he graduated.
What does in the basement mean?
In the basement means he got sent home from college in March.
Okay.
Because of COVID.
So he completed it at home.
He completed his college,
Yes.
He had a great attitude.
Remote learning. So he missed all his graduation and everything, did he?
The fact that he did not have to put on that cap and gown and walk he was not upset. It was me and his grandmother that were upset about that.
Right.
But we're bonding right now because he did get a job and now he is working from home. So he's right above my studio. So
all right.
Yeah. We're bonding.
Well, look, I will start wrapping things up shortly. One other thing I did want to touch on was another cool general thing that you do in your studio, and it's to do with the Apple Store.
Yes.
Tell us about these, because I hadn't heard of them. I don't know if it's something that is available in Australia, but what do you do?
Okay, well, first of all, I am blessed beyond blessed that my nephew works for Apple.
Okay.
I call him at least once a week.
What does he do?
He's a genius. He was in California when COVID hit, so that's a whole nother ballgame for him. But actually, if you go on here in the States, if you go on the Apple website, they do field trips. And he told me about it. And so I just went in and I asked them and I said, could I bring my piano students? And anybody, you can go on my Facebook pages for Julie Duda Music Studio. We did it for 2 years. Of course, this summer we weren't able to do it, but I took my whole group of kids in, and it was like a 2 or 3 hour field trip, and they taught them how to use GarageBand.
Mm.
And it was the coolest thing. It was really hard for us to miss it this year. And my nephew actually lives in Tulsa, which is where Megan Damaris.
Yeah, I know the name.
I don't know if you know her. She actually took her students to the one for an Apple Store field trip as well. We kind of connected there. But it's a really cool, it's free. It's totally free.
Great tip. Students all love it.
That's retention. That's retention. I mean, the things that I do in my studio, we do special things.
Well, that's a perfect segue, Julie. I wanted to talk about retention. So give us, if you got a couple of more gems.
Well, one of the big things I do is we celebrate pianiversaries. These are my pianiversary cards. We celebrate.
I like it.
When you come across 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, I keep track of when they start piano lessons. We celebrate those things. And I've had so many students that said, oh, I was thinking of quitting. I just didn't want to practice anymore. And then I got that pianiversary card. And I realized I've been at it for 3 years. And, I don't want to quit.
That has to be one of the most simple but effective retention strategies I've heard of.
And this is on my Top Music Marketplace.
There you go. There you go. Snap. If you want to see what they look like or download them, you can do that.
Just celebrating. I said we celebrate the accomplishments in our studio. And sometimes it's the littlest things that you do with the students that make the biggest impact. It really is. We celebrate if a student drives to their lesson for the first time. They're 16, they got their license. We have a big photo prop for that. A lot of just celebrating the kids and who they are as people, not just look at them as, okay, they're my student coming in, you're my piano student, but just, celebrating them as people. They're not just, dollar signs to fill my studio. They're people, and just caring about them as kids and wanting to see them succeed. Does that make sense?
Lovely. Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's nodding their heads as they listen. It's what we all, even though it's difficult sometimes, it's what we all absolutely aspire to. Just finishing up then, what do you think has had the biggest impact on your, I want to say growth, but also your ability to be as happy, successful, comfortable, balanced as you are now? What are some of those things that have really had an impact on your ability to get where you are now?
I think doing the coaching with Sarah Campbell. I recommend that in her Savvy Music Studio, because I didn't know what I was doing. Once you have those business things in place, now I'm free to do what I want to do. Create and teach and things like that. And also, I think just in the past month or so, being able to start, getting my creations and my games and things out to people. That's been so great, because when I taught in the school, I was always the one that got in trouble for using too much paper, too much copying, too much laminating film, because I was always, under restraint of, I charge a registration fee and I use it.
Right. Okay.
But I was always getting in trouble I was always, overdoing my, limits on the paper and stuff, and just being in my own little environment here. It's just been so awesome. And my family is very supportive as well.
Well, it's been just delightful to spend some time with you, Julie, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Oh,
and
welcome.
It's been great to hear about how many products you've uploaded to the marketplace, which is very exciting. I found another couple which I thought, I love the names you give these things. So you've got a game called Match My Musical Llamas and the Ostrich flashcard game.
Yes.
As well as Taco Tuesday and, a whole heap of great fun games, and they're inexpensive and you can use them with multiple students. Right. This is what's great, of course. So if you're interested in any of those, please do head to topmusicmarketplace.com and check those out. Where else would you like people to go to find out more about you, Julie?
Well, my website is juliedudamusicstudio.com, and the same Julie Duda Music Studio on Instagram and my Facebook account. What's cool about my Instagram and Facebook account is you can go on there and see my students using these games. You can see them holding the props and, see just a lot of the things that we do. So you can kind of see it in action, what we do. Yeah.
Good. Make sure you tag us so that we can reshare those, won't you?
Yes.
Particularly on Instagram. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Wonderful. We'll put links to your resources and your websites in our show notes. Thank you so much again, Julie. Is there anything we've missed that is just like you thought, Tim, you should have asked me this. That was a silly question you've missed. Or have we covered it?
I think we've covered it.
Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to checking out the Flying Musical Ninja game, which is the one I can see behind you right now, and all your resources. Thank you so much, Julia, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
How much fun is Julie? I did hope you enjoyed our discussion today and got some tips and ideas. And we'll also have a good excuse to go over to the marketplace and have a look at some of her resources. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, she's got them on discounted rates at the moment just for a few days. So do go and snap them up while they are there. They guaranteed fun for your studio. And I know a number of my team members who are also music teachers are using them and having a great time with them. Next week on the podcast, you're going to meet a German. His name is Christian Hengst. He's an app developer for one of my, we should say, top shelf apps that I've recently found. I've done a review on this app in 2 videos on YouTube. So if you want to know what the app is, I can tell you it's a little bit about chords and it aligns incredibly well with my 4-chord composing framework. If you want to know what that app is, then head over to my YouTube channel, Top Music Co. YouTube channel, and check out those videos before we get to meet Chris next week. So, look, I do hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for being with me this week. I can't wait to share another great episode with you next week. Until then, I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Topcast from topmusic.co. I'll see you next time. For more information about this episode and to find out how to enhance your own teaching, visit topmusic.co. You'll find everything you need for your studio, from lesson plans to cheat sheets, quick win teaching ideas, and guides on how to build your teaching business. Plus, you'll be connected to a global community of the world's top music teachers. And when you're ready, join hundreds of other teachers around the world by becoming a Top Music Pro member and get access to all our bonus content and flagship courses. And don't forget to follow topmusic.co on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. That's all for today. We'll see you in the studio.